Hello there. Hi. Welcome. Hi. I'm Uncommon, and I'm
What?
uncommonly happy to see you today.
Stop! Bring back the hard mode joke, please.
Uh, and joining me today is Shazampoof, who is Shazamily happy to see you today. No, that doesn't
Sure.
work. That doesn't
It
work.
works.
It's
Nope, it works way better. It works so much better.
Oh, this is episode 13 of Delving in Deep, where myself and Tom dive in deeply. Period. No, really, we're
And so,
hit a button.
we've just been canceled.
World building. We have been step by step building our own Dungeons and Dragons world together with you, together with each other, and with the help of OneNote, which is getting honestly, I think we're getting farther and farther behind on our homework, as we have a lot of fantastic notes, a lot of great information, and we're building this knowledge base. But what we don't have is, you go back home after you take notes and you really write it out. I think we're falling behind, Tom. This is gonna be a big all-nighter one day.
We?
Yeah, Tom.
Yeah, no, it's totally we.
Oh, bam! I was like, wait, you been taking notes? Oh man, where's it at, Tom? Let me click. Oh, the monsters page is empty. That page is empty. The locations tab is slightly out of date now because we have a new world map. Although the behind the scenes stuff, the stuff we use every week to kind of get at you graphically what we're saying with words, that's okay. That's got lots of words, and that's the notes page. No, really though. We're having a lot of fun so far here. Last week we went hello from the other side. I typed there because we can't get away from movie and music references.
That's how D&D is, right?
Isn't it?
D&D is just based on Lord of the Rings. It's just the Lord of the Rings ripoff.
Ooh.
Prove me wrong, internet.
Honestly, there's a
I haven't
lot.
seen you in like 20 hours.
Hey, Game Jockey, how you doing, man? What do you think, Game Jockey? Is Dungeons and Dragons nothing more than a Lord of the Rings ripoff? Leave your comments below or to the side in the channel chat. No, I think it is. I think there are a lot of Lord of the Rings lore and elves and stuff, and the way we understand basic fantasy definitely came from Tolkien on many levels. Very heavily influenced, and that's, you know what, I'm alright with that because Tolkien was kind of ahead of his time. Oh, Lord of the Rings is based off of Beowulf. What isn't based off of Beowulf? Is that really fair? Like, oh, this was based off of caveman art, all art ever, because some dude before I was born wrote on a wall. That's got to be cool.
Story
Imagine
of my life.
wrote on a wall. Did you write on a caveman
Yeah.
wall?
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, that's original thought, right? Like, we had original thought when there just were no thoughts. Some guy
Right.
was like,
Well, we're social creatures, so there is no such thing as an original thought.
what about the first person who was hungry? Man, I bet he was confused. Man, no one's ever
What
felt
was
this
the-
before. Ugh.
Hmm.
Uh,
Babies are always putting stuff in the mouth. You know, they don't even know why. They're like, we do this because.
we do it, guys.
Let me just
what?
Write this mortgage check real quick.
So I'm taking care of adult things when we were supposed to be taking care of non-adult things. Game Jockey says, well, Tolkien was the one who made the most popular translation of the Poetic Edda that Beowulf is included in. So you're saying that he translated something. He translated the greater works, one of the chapters, which was Beowulf. I don't know enough Beowulf, guys. I started this English class. Okay, so I started working on my master's a few years back, several years back at this point. And the first class was an English class. I decided to dive into creative writing for a master's. I thought that would be fun. It doesn't matter what my master's is. I'll just take a creative writing master's. And the first class wanted me to, mind you, I didn't go to a real college. I didn't go to I didn't get a real degree. This thing that you have, I have the paper, I have the degree, but I definitely got most of it online, and I shammed my way through a lot of it. So when I found this class, this creative writing class, this English, like, 5-level English, this master levels English, and I said, all right, I need you to take Beowulf, these 2 versions of Beowulf, the original, one of the more older versions, the original, and the new stuff. Like, I had to look at Old English and New English, and like do an analysis on English, the English language. And I got to look at the assignment, and I saw the example and the level of work they expected out of me, and I immediately disenrolled and quit all college. I haven't been back since. Beowulf is the reason I don't have my degree, my master's degree. They do. They expect a lot more out of you at that level. You can't just BS your way through it anymore. As I learned. And now I sit and I teach college students who are getting better educations than me in real colleges. And I make sure to let them know that regularly. Like, you're smarter than me. Just keep that in mind as we talk about these next couple topics.
Oh, man.
All right. What about you, Tom? What's going on? What's going on outside of the world?
I'm coughing. It's terrible.
It's absolutely miserable. It's bleeding into my ears.
Oh, wait. I have this mute button. Keep on constantly hitting it when I'm talking or when I'm talking. Remember to hit that.
I think you're just cutting in and out, but you're actually just pushing a button mid-sentence.
Yeah, I'm pushing a button mid-sentence. I'm going to hopefully try to remember to hit that when I cough. No promises.
So I have something called apple pie. It's a drink.
The food? Okay.
It's a drink.
It's not a drink. It's a food, actually.
It's well, this one's a drink. And when I first poured it, because that's what I walked away right before we started. We started about a minute late because I walked away to get this drink. And I poured a little bit. I didn't know how strong this was going to be. And I took a sip, and I was like, "Oh,
it's a work night, by the way."
It's like 6. It's a Tuesday or it's a Wednesday.
Daddy always started drinking at 6.
Nobody's got any problems here. But I did. I poured it. I took a sip, and I was like, "Well, this doesn't feel strong at all. This must be a nice light drink." Something for sipping. And so I poured a little bit more and I walked away, and Brandy's like, it's 40 proof. I was like, oh. All right, then.
Game Jockey, that's a funny joke. I'm not going to repeat because this is a positivity stream with...
We try to be positive, and that's hilarious. Thank you for that. All right, so last week, Hello from the Other Side, we
talked a little bit about the other side of the world. I think, honestly, mainly because we thought that'd be the most fun.
And that's welcome to every episode and how we plan it.
Except for this one.
We have the best episode, and we spent a lot of time not planning it.
What do you mean?
Well, you actually have some images here, and I'm going to go back over. I'm going to go into the screen now. Let's get a good screen transition here.
Screen. See, that timed out perfectly for me, but I know I am not. When I view the stream, that is not what's being shown on the stream.
No, absolutely not. But I'm going to go clip that real quick. Let me just make a note, clip this here. And we're going to use your sound for future screen transitions.
I see. I would be nervous if there was any work done off stream.
Don't you dare. Don't you dare. I occasionally do things. That's why we have flutes.
Spewed water everywhere.
I'm glad that you can find your own jokes hilarious. I'm so happy that you find yourself funny.
Hey,
you've got to.
How to tell jokes and how to be a funny person is just always remember this sentence or whatever, how many sentences this is.
Okay.
Your jokes are for you. Other people's laughter is a bonus. That's all you have to do.
Now, how long has that been a life philosophy for you, or are you just trying to like insert wisdom?
it's it's been a little bit. I've said that multiple times. There was the first time I ever noticed anything about my style of sense of humor is when in 10th grade biology, my teacher, who didn't like me very much because I fell asleep in his class a lot, would say, "Wow, you really have a shotgun approach to jokes. You just really hope that one of them sticks." And I was like, "You're not wrong, but I'm funny."
But I'm funny. I need to take that philosophy. The being funny philosophy. That's a good one. People just start laughing at everything I have to
break
say.
up with your girlfriend on stream. We were talking about this a little bit before, but like there was a streamer who was obviously causing anguish to his girlfriend, apparently who he maybe had feelings for at some time.
Okay.
To get money. So hey, if he can do it, you can do it.
Say that again. What was he doing for money?
He told his girlfriend on stream that he cheated on her, and then people started donating. Hundreds of dollars.
Why would people donate hundreds of dollars? That's
it's the internet, man.
Why would I say I'm a horrible human being? Listen to this way I am treating you and currently treating you right now live on stream, and people start donating.
Yeah, it's even like $100 donations.
Tom, I'm gonna try something really drastic here.
Do it.
I'm gonna try the opposite. Brandy's probably watching. I haven't cheated on you, and you're a fantastic human being. Thank you for everything you do for me. All right, where's the money? Do we start getting money now?
If I wait up, can't watch Dad. You're out of luck.
Oh, no bits, and I can't give myself bits. Oh, that's horrible. People love drama.
Which is weird. I don't understand why Twitch doesn't let you do that. They literally go, "Hey, do you want to give yourself half the money you're spending?"
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to me, that's a profitable business margin.
I feel like you're not wrong. I feel like that's pretty spot on. But maybe the ads. Maybe it doesn't want you to be able to give yourself ad revenue. Imagine if you could watch ads for like 3 cents per ad, Tom. 2 cents per ad.
I would do that.
You would be at work going, "Let's keep hitting ads." Doing normal work, but you have a bot that just clicks ads all day. I cut out the middleman. Like, just tell me what to buy, ads. Pay me to consider it. Game Jockey says, "Too bad I'm poor." It's okay. We're all poor. We're all poor. That's why we're trying to become Twitch famous, guys. Bring it.
All right, that's 15. That's 15.
Oh,
got to cut it off.
No,
next show segment.
It's not 15.
What do you mean? It's 9:15.
I started a minute late. Welcome to the next show segment where we talk about the things we're actually here to talk about. So, for those of you at home who are definitely new, because we attract lots of new listeners each day, is self-deprecating humor, does that count?
Oh, self-deprecating humor is my favorite type.
Oh my gosh, it's awesome. And honestly, my favorite type of humor, the humor that makes me the happiest, and is not good humor, is making fun of my friends. Like, finding that thing that really digs at them and diving into. I only have a couple friends I could do that with. Tom just doesn't have that many weak points in his life because he already accepts how miserable he is. But like, maybe that's why Daniel doesn't hang out with us anymore.
It's so true.
We do not say the nicest things about our good friends.
That's how you know.
Well, and I like to say like, "Oh, he's a shitter too." Like, he does it back, but nowhere near as bad. Nowhere near as bad as we've been to him. Where is he at? Where is that shitter at?
Well, it's love. People love. Show love in different ways. Some people show it at 7 p.m. Other people say mean jokes.
And then other people bring ice cream to Dungeons and Dragons on Tuesday nights, and they're fantastic people.
Oh man! See, when it comes to doing what I need to do in OneNote, like getting those crops of those pictures, I literally copy the map go into Paint, cut out the section I want to cut out, and then create a new picture and then post it into.
Let me watch the stream real quick. I'm gonna show you something better.
Okay.
All right. So let's say Loris's lake here is important.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna zoom in on it.
Okay.
I'm gonna click this icon on the bottom of my screen. You have this on your computer. It's called the snipping tool.
It's simply this is like the same thing.
But
I thought you were gonna do it like in one note.
You just take out a few steps, and I paste it.
Yeah. Yes and no.
I just took out a few steps. There we go. Image lake.
I want something in.
Maybe there is a sword in it, but actually there's not. But we're gonna tell them there is.
That's the legend. Not all legends you hear is true.
Right, but maybe it is true, and we're just throwing them off. Oh, is this the episode where we were gonna like tell them spoiler alerts?
That's what Casey said last time, but Casey I don't think realizes that we're nowhere even close to there. So no.
You don't think we're close? Okay.
No.
Well, this is supposed to be the Siren's Call episode. This is the episode
sure.
2,
Yes. That
part 2.
Yes. That is kind of what you said last night. Time correct.
Correct.
But I think in order, like, there's a lot that we would need to potentially deal with.
Okay. So what's the first thing of a lot of things that we need to potentially deal with?
So first thing is go back and exactly see what that was.
Hey guys, give us a second. We're gonna spend the next hour rewatching the episode where we talked about Jellicoy. Jellicoy.
I think we settled on Jellicoy. Yeah, because that's what it says in parentheses.
It does.
Which doesn't exist anymore because this whole town doesn't exist because the map's different.
Right, and we got to place Jellicoy on the map right now. That's all I'm saying. I'm going to say more because then it would be a really boring episode. I'm going to place it in a similar spot and watch this. Draw. I need a shape. It needs to be a black line. Right here. Jellicoy. Actually, place it on the other side. There we go. Because it has access to Santalis' territory pretty good. And I really need to zoom in because that is too big of a circle. Oh, gosh. Erase. Square. Smaller square.
Cha-cha, real smooth.
Right here now, y'all. Slide to the left. Oh, why does this keep returning? Are you putting a square down?
No, but some things I just deleted reappeared.
Yep, a whole bunch of things I keep deleting are reappearing. Almost like Tom is
This is brought to you by what I'm doing something else, Panderer.
I pander to myself. Pander. It's back. Stop it now, y'all. Cha-cha, real smooth. Fuck. Delete. God damn it.
This show. It's a nightmare. All right.
It is only a mare.
Oh, God. That's that I deleted is back.
All right. You have all kinds of cool
yes.
things in the bottom of the screen that I'm not sure what they are. So can we start with what your ideas are? Because you're putting out some things. And it looks like you're building out some key structures of the surrounding area.
So when the reason for sort of what I was talking about of how, when it comes to nothing spoiler wise or anything else, it takes, I think, in order to create a good story, the background needs to be at least a little bit understood first.
Okay.
Because those are the cause and effects of your story. People, people could go, actually, people are irrational, but, people make rational choices, whether, it's completely irrational but makes sense to them or based on the world around them.
Okay.
So we need to have some sort of feel of what's going on in the general world to then understand these stories. And that's sort of a hard part about, creating a world, is that there's a lot of that just needs to be filled in. So there is sort of just a couple of points that I thought in my head over the past little bit, and stuff that we've talked about before. These are sort of just like major points, sort of, I guess, potential quote unquote political or godly sort of strife, problems that, they may be facing
Okay.
and, in this country that could shape the climate of, uh, the political spectrum.
Okay.
Um, so we one of the things that you mentioned before is the Santa Yllias Islands, how they once used to belong to Krolome, and sort of acted, as potential trading, hubs to meet for the two sides. But as Santa Yllias creatures have slowly gotten more and more out of hand, or there's just been a bigger part of, when you she's been creating more and more, there's now been more things that are just unwieldy that have found their way sort of onto these islands and have pushed all sort of civilization off of it.
Okay.
And so you have that sort of last island as like the bastion of hope, of they're trying to maintain their front, potentially trying to reclaim it. You also have the rainforests of Santa Yllias territory, coming in, to the to Krolome's area, which is, jeopardizing, potentially something like farmlands or something of the sort, where they need to, keep watch and, burn it back or chop it down or do something to sort of keep it in check. Maybe Santa Yllias creatures are running amok and they're getting into Krolome's area. And then, I didn't hit the button. I covered my old mic that I don't use anymore. The other thing, which I think would probably be the most important part of this entire world, which just happens to be in Krolome's territory, is that tiny gap between the two continents, which would have to just be the absolute busiest trade route in the world by a long shot.
Okay.
And sort of because of that, there's these, each side is just this massive city, just spawning around this trade. And, it can either, potentially be, one city that, or, be on two continents, but it operates as one city. And then you also have this island in the middle that could be, like this large military port, to sort of keep pirates at bay, watch, for potential smuggling or what have you, is sort of based right there in the middle.
Okay.
And so just sort of like things like that, potential, where it comes to, difficulties of having having, a large piece of terrain on two continents, things like that. And then the other things that I was sort of posting, I was, jotting some notes down of just sort of things that might be interesting visuals for the context maps. They're in no specific order, and also like things that are graphed or ranked, that could help build these stories. When it comes to like, starting with the maps, even though we're going right to left, you have, average wealth, what area is Jellicoe in? Is it, a moderate area? Is it a poor
Do you
area
have
right
maps or
next
graphs
to?
that I'm missing?
No, I don't actually have
Oh,
them.
okay. You have no visuals. All right.
Correct. I don't have any visuals here. And or like land fertility. Like, is this, a very hostile environment to crops, so that way food is a little bit more expensive? Just general population, where's the density, conflict hotspots, where, where are, the potential conflicts arising, whether it be between countries or, beast and man when it comes to Santa Yllias area, to give graphical representations or map drawings to see exactly, what's happening in the world. As well as when it comes to graphs, just ranking the countries, who has the largest population, gross domestic product, what country is, very productive, education, military power, infrastructure, like roads and, cities and things like that. Even, things like tourism, how safe, a city is, I think could all, if we just think about it a little bit, and then in terms of comparing different areas, could give us a lot of ammunition for stories, or creating reasons to why things are happening in the story to draw players in more so than, hey, this is happening just cuz, saying this is happening because, just to grab some stuff, there's conflicts happening in a nearby area, which is it's been damaging their farmland, that has been it's ruined their farmland, so they have less crops to grow. So then they have to go to this major city to buy the food, but it's putting a strain on their resources for the town, because they're having to spend all this money on extra food, and it's causing people to be more desperate, and then they're turning to become pirates. That's more, to me, that's more enthralling than, yeah, these guys are pirates because they are, right? Like,
Sure. But how much what we have here is a lot of detail.
mm-hmm.
You'll never finish this. There's got to be a line.
Hey, Reneko, or Voneko.
Hey, Herenenko. There's a line where you have to say that's too much.
And I could, like, now I don't want to say this because then I'd have to do it, but I'm going to have a week where I'm not going to have anything to do.
So are you going you're going to map out all this stuff?
I think it wouldn't be that hard.
Okay.
Now, I'm not saying to map out every single, what's it called? The polygon that make up this map, but like just have a general sense of what's happening on the map. Also potentially creating all the cities. That would probably be the hardest part by far.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. Yeah, I like, you could definitely go batshit crazy,
right,
with this, but
yeah.
It would be like, I think if in this case, he probably thinks that this should be drawn back even more. But if you take it back a few steps,
sure,
I think it'd be pretty reasonable.
Well, the reasonableness, I think, starts at this stuff we talked about, and you have a lot of categories here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 categories. These need to be easily graphically represented. Easily. Very easily. And be very easily explainable. Because if we start getting into spreadsheets when trying to explain this, or our own Wikipedia pages, it's too much. Take a moment real quick and go to type in Waterdeep, Wikipedia.
Yeah, that's the other D&D campaign that I'm in right now.
Waterdeep?
Mm-hmm.
That's the city. That is a city in the Forgotten Realms. Are you doing?
Oh, well, then I'm in that city.
Sure. Are you doing a heist?
I've played one session.
You doing a heist?
I don't know. I beat up a mech. An arcane mech.
Fair enough. But if you take a look at that website on Wikipedia, and I'll move it over. Here we go. Let me move this thing to the chat. The amount of detail you gave does not exist at all for Waterdeep. And Waterdeep is
why we're better.
One of the largest, busiest cities in Faerûn and an important political power on the continent. This is a massively important area. And its paragraph about government, or its line about government, is 4 paragraphs, like 3 sentences, 1 to 3 sentences each. The rest of this detail comes in piecemeal in the adventures, as needed. Not, let's map out the entire world and then go from there.
True, but then, as needed, yes, but then you can easily run yourself into a trap.
No, you can't.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
We did it with the timeline. We went back and redid the timeline and had to then wiggle things into the timeline. We could do that easily because there's no players to challenge that. But like, if all of a sudden we say, actually, this part of the world, it's not destroyed at all. That was all made up, because now it works better if it wasn't destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
You're not making
I
a
don't
good
you
argument for yourself. That's the opposite argument.
what do you mean? Like, to me, if you draw, you're gonna run into plot holes, which then to me as a player would take me completely out of
The
it.
plot holes come when you put greater detail in it. More generic, drawn back, take a step back, big picture. Plot holes are just to be filled in. They're not things that are incorrect because you didn't nail down anything.
I guess that's, maybe we're talking about two different things, because I think we're on the same page.
I
But
feel
I
like okay.
think
I'm trying to
but I
describe a house. You're trying to tell me where all the 2x4s and nails are placed.
Right, but I think you are saying that because you think about what I want to exactly do. I'm not talking about, when it comes to, mapping out, uh let's pick one of them.
Yeah.
When it comes to trade flows, I'm not talking about, this is Route 90 and it goes and it stops at, this city, this city, and this trader Bob is, is known in the local area for trading furs at a slightly higher price. But I'm talking about, you have Loris's capital city, which runs its route through, or let's say, down one of the rivers to,
you can draw, by the way. You can draw to help visualize this for all of us.
True, but I don't want to make the map too dirty. But like, you have, like, when it comes to trade routes, you have, Loris' city is here. They like to take their biggest trade route is down this river that then goes into this, part of the city. And so, just to sort of have a general flow of, when it comes to the graphs, we've already talked about populations, places that are dense or not dense, when it comes to military power, what does, generally, where do the countries rank in military power?
Okay. So I think what we're going to have to do is you're going to have to show me this stuff. Like, this is like in between episodes where we can talk about this. And see what kind of detail you mean, because you could go down a rabbit hole here that is wholly unnecessary and will never be used. I don't want to spend 90 hours on something that'll never be seen for sure.
Well, true, but isn't that most of what we're doing will never be seen? That's one of the things that you yelled at me for.
No, we have not yet created anything that is that has the potential of being entirely irrelevant, because we've talked big picture. We've talked about the biggest moving political bodies. We've talked about general landscapes. Like, we talked about the islands, right? So if I go back to the greater details, we scroll down to the map, we have 3 islands we talked about. And we have a couple bullet points for those islands. We have, Spoketown. And we have a general idea what Spoketown's for. We know that the old adventuring merchants go there, mage hunters. That the top right island has ice trolls, jelly ogres. The left one has a lot of magical artifacts and the underground races, and that's it. And that's all. That's all we need for those islands until it's time to develop the actual adventure. I don't need anything else. I don't care about their gross domestic product.
Yeah, that is GDP.
I don't care about the
but
trade routes.
That's while I'd say for those islands, yes, but like, I don't see how you, like, you don't create a Lord of the Rings book without knowing anything about Lord of the Rings. Like there has to be some sort of background
Yeah,
knowledge
we have that. And
about
when we
how it
started
works.
writing, when we started making Jellicoi, we were really diving into Jellicoi. We have the base of an adventure. It's right there.
Right.
And then we expand it farther, and that part's developed. We developed a city. We can talk about
Hmm.
this interacting cities, but a lot of this world should be left blank. Big cities, large influential powers should have detail, but the in betweens are to be filled in if adventures go in those directions. You take a couple, maybe at best, you make 5 or 6, pre-generated, pre-created, pre-crafted towns that have some stock people and some adventures and some problems that need solving. And if they're looking for random adventure out in the world, maybe they stumble upon one of those random encounters. All right, these books should have random encounters, random cities, random dungeons that we pull from a list when we need them, but we don't necessarily map out 500 dungeons. We just map out 5 excess. And when they use 2 or 3, we make a couple more in between sessions and refill our random encounter section. But the major stuff, absolutely. I don't know how major something like crime stats is. We could crime stats are like a lot of crime here, because if we say
Right.
there's a lot of crime here and there's not a lot of crime here, then when we get into the actual adventure, we can look over at our notes and say there's a lot of crime here, and then throw in some elements of crime. I don't need to know that murder
Right.
is
You
a
don't
higher
need to
stat.
know 5,400 carjackings, but
Right.
when it comes to, hey, now we're pirates, are we going to go to this city or this city? We should at least have some general area known. But to me, we could make all of that up on the spot, but that's also making it harder for us.
I don't think we have to make it up all on the spot.
Mhm.
80-20. I want to put 20% of the work in that's going to get us the 80% of the result. And that's where we end. I think that once we've done 20% of what we need to do, the rest make up on the spot, make up as we need. And maybe this is just me, and I can like, we've done a lot of prep. I have a fantastic idea of how this world works. If we can take Jellicoi, and we do Jellicoi level of detail for the 20 hotspots around, and not even, let's say the 20 hotspots, for all the things in the Siren's Call adventure or adjacent adventures that they may interact with, we're good, I think. We do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We do the other 7 Jellicois, because Jellicoi is the starting place for this adventure. We do the other 7, the initial adventures for everything else, and then we dive into 7 more critical things that happen in Krolomes and the Siren's Call adventure. And that's kind of how I see that playing out. Now, I think these stats are great to have. I would not put more than 3 hours of work into the sum total of them, though. I don't know how much you expect that to take.
No, I mean, the graphs, it's more just ranking. The maps are just essentially using colors on the map to give us visuals. But also, we're going to also have to, in my opinion, we're going to have to do some things to utilize the map.
Okay.
Well, because this map tool, it's great. It does confine us in some certain scenarios, and I'll have to work and play with the cities a little bit more.
Yeah.
To see exactly, because I asked a little bit ago about how. Oh, I found it right away. Exactly how big the cities are. What's the world population looking like? Things like that. Excuse me.
Like if we go to locations and we take this map and we do, a dozen different versions of this map, and each of them tell a different story. Like right now, this version of the map on the main screen shows us borders. All right. Where's that map that shows us like heat signatures for population? Like,
and that's what it would be.
Uh-huh.
And I don't have those yet. That would be next week.
Okay. All right. So yeah, let's
because it does the tool is great, but in its greatness comes a little bit of sluggishness
does it have heat
that makes it
maps
hard to work with.
for some of the stuff?
No,
That's
no,
okay.
it does
That's
not.
self-created. Okay. All right.
That would be self-created essentially by saving the map in a place to make sure I don't delete the actual map, and then wiping the map, and then sort of keeping the borders, and then
Some of this might be
coloring
just
it different way.
Photoshop. Just Photoshop with layers.
Yeah,
Put it in
true.
there and do your best at like dark green, lighter green circles.
Hmm.
I could see that. I could. Um, and we could easily refer to these pages when we're looking at different things. We're doing a review, like a series of maps that we can review when understanding where the characters are
Hmm.
before a session. Do it a debrief. Okay, we know this about this area. We have a couple towns here.
Right.
Moderate wealth. How does this affect the people they're going to run into? I
Hmm.
like it and I could see it.
Hmm.
Um,
Because what I was planning to do with the cities is and I got to sort of play with the maps and see what we can kind of make realistic, because we're constrained by the maps that it automatically generates.
okay.
Um, so of course I don't want to have a 4 building town and have say, yeah, there's 10,000 people that live in there.
Right.
But I think even when it comes to small towns, they're pretty freaking large. And so to give you the creative flexibility that you need, we don't, and I think this was even mentioned way at the beginning, we don't need to have a spot on the map for that 4 building crossroad in the middle of a trade route. Like,
Right.
you know, that can just exist.
Well,
And
and I think that's part of the example of like, hey, here's a dozen town-sized
mhm,
locations or
mhm,
stories for the location. Because I think your map gives us the town pre-generated town maps for each
mhm,
location, right?
it
Um,
does.
so we don't need to populate them with stories. We have those encounters on the side, and then you pull up the very specific map for that town, so it never changes. It's
Mhm,
always the same.
mhm,
And then you just have to start recording the greater details as the adventure goes on. Because I think when we're DMing this, that's going to be you are a king note taker.
mhm,
If we come to a town and you have to pull up the map, you hand me a map. I pull from a couple pre-existing storylines that occur here because this was spur of the moment and they just wandered off in a direction. And then
mhm.
you're taking what I'm pasting or what I'm developing and pasting it permanently to that town. So next time we go back there,
It still
they
exists.
still exist, and we can talk about how those problems evolved, um,
Mhm.
et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
So that could be good.
Um, yeah. Um,
A dynamic way to work with detail is what we need. Um,
right.
as this
We
episode
need to be
greatly
able to
turns
be
into.
flexible. Right.
Good.
We need to be able to be flexible, but I don't want this to turn into, you know, just your or every other ordinary D&D campaign. Like, I want people to be able to tune in, see this, and go, "That's a pretty neat idea. How the heck do they pull
Sure.
that off?"
I'm the art, you're the science, and you
Mhm.
know we can do something.
And then we'll see this all fall apart in a glorious.
Right. We put all this work into it, and the characters have a huge argument in the third episode, and the party splits up, and we're like, well, fuck.
we just we just both get our girlfriends, and then they just play. It's like, no, you have to do this. We don't have anybody else.
It's just two girls playing D&D with two TMs.
That's honestly, that's probably be more viewers than we'd ever get any
Oh,
other way.
we get Haley, not Daniel, but
Oh yeah,
Haley.
well yeah, yeah. Except that she'd take better notes than me, and then
And then you would be beaten by yeah.
yeah, and then she would be the DM.
No, Tom.
But
Actually,
yeah.
here in Krolum's territory, you said that it was a GDP of twice the size. Um, okay, all right. So what we actually did this whole episode, the whole point of this was to dive a little deeper into Siren's Call. But we're kind of coming up with the way forward, which is going to require a little bit of homework. And you reminded me that there will not be episodes
Correct. Next week.
next week.
Mhm.
I'm out of town for the entirety of the week. Tom is also alone,
Mhm.
and we don't want him running the show on his own. Um,
Hey,
Well, you
Girls in a D&D game is 3 million views.
I was about to count the zeros.
Let's see if my banker. Oh my god, that's uh there's some skills that depress you.
Yeah,
Maybe that's one of them.
your banking skills depress you.
Yeah, just looking at numbers all day.
So let's
but
put
yeah,
some actual content on the map today.
Well, yeah, and that's one of the things. So we have and with this the three main things that I talked about, which I think when it comes to if you were like, hey, what are the three biggest things that shape the political climate? Like, what are Krolom's biggest issues that are brought up to him and fought about constantly? It would have to be, that trade route, just the constant just annoyance of having that many people, that much trade. I'm sure, people are fighting each other in the streets, people are smuggling stuff. So there's that. So the Siren would most likely, potentially have to deal with that. Maybe when they, they have all these ships running back and forth, and it's just like crazy. And it's like the traffic in India, how you're surprised that nobody's hitting each other. And then like you see the Siren ship come in and everybody sees her flags, and you just see like almost like a crocodile or a shark in the water. You just see everybody give it a little wider breath of, around the ship. So like things like, that. So like, potentially I would say, when it comes to, big three spots that this story could go, it would be around some of, some of these things. Now, of course, there's only Santalis here. There could potentially be something between Loros or Ektun. There was I also drew the map a little bit differently. Robad could be creating conflict over that river.
Let's not talk about things that could be. Let's actually put something on the map.
Okay.
Let's do that, because
I'm very bad at hitting this mute button.
That's fine. Right now we're dealing, and we have a couple really good ideas, and I'm mapping them out with text. We have the port, the trade routes, Last Bastion of Hope, the Rainforest expansion. Let me go ahead and write Port Town now. Large port town. Probably just put that up there twice, right? And just call Large Port Town 1. Copy, paste Large Port Town 2. Nope, don't do that. Actually paste it on the map. Sometimes it wants to be on the map, and sometimes it wants to be off the map. And now there's overlap, and I have to, like, this is a good tool for working, but it does take a little bit of work to, like, I want to delete lines and houses, and yes, absolutely, finagling.
It's always a good word.
It's not a bad word. It's not a bad word. You're not a bad person for using it. It's not true of all words. All right.
Like fondue.
Yeah, fuck those assholes. Use that word all the time. And now I'm moving the entire map, and I didn't mean to. My bank account depresses me, says the way out is through. I thought you were like a big time programmer. Left the Air Force and made big time contractor money. Flying to Korea just to hang out with people.
Busted.
All right. So we have large port town, Grand Naval Port. What's the next place we want to talk about here? Do we have something for the Grand Naval Port?
And in what way? Why the adventurers would eventually end up there?
Can I have a town map, a naval port map? Just trying to do some r/2m IRL for me IRL in real life.
I'm confused what just happened. That was a lot.
me IRL or MEIRL on Reddit is a subreddit dedicated to like self-deprecation jokes and like suicide jokes because suicide humor is kind of on the rise. We went from like suicide's never funny to like let's make as many jokes about it as we can. And then there was a website that was like it's too self-deprecating and suicide for the for that subreddit. It was too bad, too much, and that's where that one came from. Is my understanding of how this evolved. It was too dark, too depressing. Like
there are markers.
You're supposed to like look at that subreddit and it's their jokes and be like, oh, that I can relate to that too strongly, and now I'm sad. I don't know why that's a subreddit.
Casey, there are markers.
There's a whole draw page, man. I've been drawing with markers this whole time.
No, on the map. So, like, if something happens in a random spot in the world, we could just plop a marker down and then write notes on what exactly happened there.
Are you talking about not on my map, but on your map?
On my map. Okay.
All right. The master map, which I don't have access to, which would be great for the show. We could share that somehow.
It depends. Like, we can share it, but if one of us edits it, it won't end up in the copy that I have.
Right. No, and I want your copy to be a master copy. I would love for this. I would pay a premium service for that map to be shareable and editable, like OneNote. I would pay for that premium service. Okay, so we're looking for Grand Naval Port. We're looking to give some ideas for that. So I'm going to scroll down.
Placenta? Oh, Placentia. That's way different.
Oh wow. I'm going to scroll down, create a section for this, and we're going to just pop out some notes here about this port. Some things that we can talk about. So this is make this a nice heading. We need a town for this. So this is the Grand Naval Port, but it's going to have a name, something naval base, something naval base, not Krillom Naval Base, right? Maybe,
no, it's done.
No, yeah, I'm having a hard time thinking about like a random naval base name. I wouldn't want to call it like Siren Naval Base.
Right. I was gonna name it the Sirens Call, but
that's the name of the episode. We could do that, and it'd be like every movie where they have to say the name of the movie.
Right.
Batman Begins.
I mean, sirens are on an island, right? Like, that's.
All right, Sirens Call Naval Base. I'm down. So when I look at Sirens Call Naval Base, and I give myself a dotted list of things to talk about, and we'll wait for you to come up with some kind of port map. I think you're showing me that you can do this.
I'm trying to real hard.
Okay. Why not name the area around the base and name the base after that? That's a good point. That's a good point.
You're not wrong, Game Jockey. That is how things usually work.
I mean, sometimes. Come on. Fort Bragg is not named after the surrounding area of Bragg.
Bragg, yeah.
Welcome to Bragg, North Carolina. But I like the idea. So this whole thing is a trade route. Busiest trade route in the world.
Correct. I wouldn't say that this is attached to the trade route.
I think it's very important that it's in that location by the trade route.
Because it overwatches. It overwatches the everything. But I don't think trade ship there's military ships in here, and that's it.
Mm-hmm. Something called sound. So a sound is a large sea or ocean inlet deeper than Bight and wider than a fjord. Narrow sea or ocean channel between two bodies of land, also called a strait. I want to see a map of it. Like they're showing me a whole bunch of like the Puget Sound. By the way, I'm right there. That's cool. That's where I'm at. But this is not as much of a sound. I don't know if it's a sound, at least. Looking at the description here, sound is often formed by seas flooding a river valley, creating a long inlet. Like, this is the space between two continents. what would you call the space between Russia and Alaska?
Strait.
What's that?
Strait.
That's
The
a
Bering
strait.
Strait.
So that's the Bering
Yes.
Strait. Also sea strait. Okay, so I guess this is right. Okay, this could be a strait or a sound. Naturally formed, narrow, navigatable waterway that connects two larger bodies of water. Most commonly, I like the idea of calling it a strait rather than a sound, just because a sound doesn't necessarily talk about two large bodies of water. Narrow body between two bodies of land. Because when I have a sound like the Puget Sound, that's more of the space between like surrounding islands. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's other examples, but the
No,
Bering Strait,
I think you're right.
that's good. We call it a strait. It's a strait. Okay, so we're gonna call this one
Mhm.
what? We need a strait. So something
straight pimping.
Um. Nope. 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 This has got to be a good name. This is the area between two massive. Well, actually, the exact Krolom. It splits Krolom. It splits
Yeah.
all the greater
The
forces.
Siren's crotch.
Oh my gosh, it's more of a taint if we're really gonna go there. Siren's taint. Straight out of Compton.
God damn it.
Da 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 da. You got a flute for that one. Da 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 da. All right.
Norum Doom.
No.
That's just what I just was
I
able
want-
to place again. I was having placing issues.
I want a real name. We shouldn't have to come up with, fake fantasy names for everything we try to do.
Well, it's just all going to be populated.
It's all going to be populated. So let's look at the list of
Well,
straits.
they're all going to have Game Jockey's right. The Strait of Gibraltar is between Africa and oh my God, it's Spain. That's
Spain. Yeah.
Morocco to
Morocco.
be specific.
What's the name of the town that John was born in? John, do you have an interesting town name that you were born in, or maybe adjacent to there? Like, you don't have to give us the state. We don't need your PII or anything. But you did point us in the direction of Strait. We could just make this easy. I don't want to call it John Strait.
The curved strait.
The curved strait. What's some of these straits? Yeah, it's fine. Curved strait. Highland Strait. All right, done. Highland Strait. That's a heading. So this makes this Highland Naval Base. Look at how easy that was, guys. We just made a decision, and this is now called Highland Naval Base. Ha! We're making content. Content.
Highland. Okay.
Highland. All right.
Okay.
We
What
could
does
just
this
call it
mean? Generate random.
Patrick Naval Base.
Okay.
It's mildly inside joke, and I'll leave it at that for now. Between me and one of our fabulous viewers. All right, so Highland Naval Base. So this oversees the trade route and its safety. Because of this,
Can I
Highland
get it to generate?
Straits is. Hey, hello, Elza. Elza Charms, welcome to the stream. What we are doing is world building some D&D content for a D&D game starting next fall.
Keeps on saying that.
Keeps on saying it. What's John's last name? Johnson. John Johnson. I want a character called John Johnson. So we have a very important John Johnson. Oh.
Jeez,
We're talking about the God John. No, the God John doesn't have a last name. He's just John. He's a people of the earth,
Just John.
of the salt. He's just John. John Johnson, though, I feel like if he was a man of humor, he would do that. They'd be like, John who? He's like, Johnson. Really? Your name's John Johnson? Yeah. Like, he would just play it out in that manner.
There's got to be a way where I can just have it spit out a new.
I thought you did. Like, what did you do for Jellycoy when you were trying to make that?
No, I can, but it's this. PNG, and I don't like this one.
Let's see it. Let's
Of
put
course, I hit the button that allows me to look at mine.
zooming out and
So I
looking
just
around to
downloaded
see
it
where it's
again.
pasting.
I'm pasting it right under the naval base thing,
Okay, I'm gonna.
but I don't like it.
That's fine. I want to see it, and then I'll be like, nope, too bad. We're using it.
And then I'll be like, nope, too bad. I'm the only one with access to the map.
I will go to my clip. Why don't you like that?
Because it doesn't touch it. The port's not big enough. I want something with a bigger port.
Make that a little smaller for now. Yeah, but we can't get this picky about every single.
Right, but this is Highland Naval Base. This isn't.
This is a big deal, huh?
Yeah.
You keep generating that. I'm gonna work with this because we can't be in the middle of the world where you're like, nah, this doesn't work. Like every time when we're like live on a D&D.
This is literally one of the most important. Don't you give me that?
Go ahead.
I'm just saying it. We should.
That's not how you spell naval, by the way.
Well, it is when it comes to your belly button.
Nope. Nope. please double A. It's not the size of the port that matters. It's how you use it. Thank you. Thank you, John.
Is it like this?
You're right. I mean, a good naval port is going to be mostly port. No. Gosh darn it.
Yeah, I'll fix it.
I know you will.
So I don't know if you knew this, but one of the gods' names, and I forget what god it was, on the first map that we originally had, their name was spelled wrong the whole time.
On the first map? Oh, wow.
Yeah, I didn't realize it.
By the way, let's be clear. Let's take a look at the scale of the map you generated.
Mm-hmm.
That is 100 miles. This city is as big as many of our continents.
That has to be 100. No,
you're right. That's meters. Oh, that's meters.
Okay.
I'm wrong. Okay. I was like, how is that possible? This farmland is hundreds of miles. This I can't believe I didn't spot that. We're learning one step at a time here. All right, so Highland Naval Base. We're building this Highland Naval Base. It's sitting in between the trade route of the Highland Strait that borders, not borders, but sits right here in between the major continents. This is going to be probably a highly military. When I think of this, if you've ever seen One Piece, and I know you haven't, even though I've told you to many times for this D&D campaign because it's very important to the way I visualize the Siren's Call. Yeah, it's 100 meters. I picture this as one giant naval structure. Like the edge of the island is around all sides is this massive wall with cannons. Now that's not necessarily realistic, and you won't find a very nice map that has that picture. Oh, but there was a scene in One Piece where they came near the end, close to a time skip. If you've ever watched the show, you'll know what I'm talking about, where they assault this naval base. And it's essentially that. It's got a giant military base covering most of this island. I think it might actually be the island. I don't know if there's an island to be had as much as it's a building in the middle of the water. Make it a star fort. That'd be cool. So the majority of here's the thing about a navy. And let me move up to the big map here, Tom, and get your attention. Yeah. Here's the thing about a navy. A navy doesn't keep its ships in the port.
Nope.
They're pre-positioned around the world. Krolom controls the seas, so I imagine his boats are everywhere. If it's not, colored in, if it's blue, if it's a deep blue, there's probably a ship, a naval vessel somewhere within a couple days journey.
Right.
I think any coast here has a naval ship about a day away. So we probably have about 1/3 one half of all the naval ships that exist are at port, and the other half are out. And they probably have this like rotation where they depart the naval port, they meet up with the ship, and the ship comes back home. Right? It's kind of this 6 months out, 6 months in, 6 months out rotation of a naval, most kind of this generic, military naval strategy.
Right.
Now, why are they doing that? Why would they do that? What threat are they trying to patrol? Because Corlom doesn't seem to be the one that intervenes constantly in foreign affairs. He's freedom and exploration. So, as I say, large naval fleet capable of deploying anywhere in the world, I don't see him being that kind of person.
Mm-hmm.
So, what are they doing? What is this Navy doing?
Are they looking for something?
Are they?
I mean, they could just be looking to protect trade routes.
So, up and down the center here only, just kind of like existing, and I'm going to draw a little bit, existing kind of in this territory here, expanding maybe a little bit outside of that, but they really want to control this portion. I could see it. I could see that. And not only enforcing a little bit of freedom. So we're going to come down here and we go overseas a trade route and its safety. The entire section between land masses. That's good.
So I figured out how to do that.
40 to 50% of all ships belonging to the Navy are docked here at all times. Maintenance and such. So that's what we're going to have here is maintenance. Also, maintenance. So what takes place here is maintenance, operations. Well, just operations as I know it, but I'm going to explain it as operations planning and oversight. We call that command. Operations planning, oversight, and command. And I almost want to say this is the only military base because I'm putting a lot of in my mind. This can just be there could be a couple of small ports for supplies and stuff, but this feels like the main base. So I want to say like training and education of the forces. So basic training,
right.
Leadership, schools, things like that. So the way it is through says like a Lucky Charm shape. That island is like the size of England, though, isn't it? The whole thing is a fort. So let's look. I don't think the whole thing's a fort. I don't. So we're going to go to the scale. I'm going to outline the image here. And then I'm going to pick it up after I move Grand Naval Port out of here. Nope, not the whole map. Just give me that part. I'm going to move it over here to the scale. Move Grand Naval Port back. And if I go according to the scale, the largest width of this thing is about here. That's one. It's about 30 miles. 30 to 35 miles in width. So no, I don't think this is definitely not the size of 40 tops Great Britain. Because how big is England, right? Size of like England on the map. Definitely not meters. You've cut off. Did we cut it off, or am I just not scrolled over? Aha, miles. Miles. So it's the size of Rhode Island. Rhode Island's more than 40 miles, isn't it?
I don't know. I remember driving through it very quickly.
Up north to south, probably pretty easily, right? But it's okay. So Rhode Island is 1,200 square miles, which if it was a square, what's the square root of 12 square root? 34 by 34. So yeah, Yeah, it's about the size of Rhode Island. This is approximately Rhode Island. And Rhode Island's still pretty big. You wouldn't want it to be a huge military base, but 1,200 square miles is still smaller than mini like Fort Bragg. Like, how big is Fort Bragg? Total landmass? Oh, okay. I see. Nope, 19. Wait, it's got to be more than 19 miles squared. Wait, 19 miles squared is 19 by 19. Yes. So Fort Bragg is bigger than Rhode Island, if I'm understanding how sizes work. Yes. And I'm looking at some other training areas, like Fort Lewis is 350 kilometers squared. A lot of the land in these military bases, by the way, that I'm looking up, is taken up by ranges. Large land masses where ordnance can explode. But I have to do some conversion here because I'm wrong again. Okay, I'm not using different measurements here. So when I say 19 miles squared, Rhode Island is 1,200 miles squared.
So that keeps that. I'm in the background. I'm learning a whole bunch of stuff about the map tools.
Okay, I'm down.
Which we have uses, and there's definitely
Eglin Air Force Base is half the size of Rhode Island. A quarter of the size of Rhode Island. Is that how mile squares work? So if 640 miles squared versus 1,200 miles squared, is that a quarter of the size or half the size? Tom?
I don't know.
Damn. All right. So yes, Rhode Island. It's Rhode Island. That's fair. We'll leave it at the size of Rhode Island. So we'll say yes, this mostly belongs to the Navy. It's going to have farmland that feeds the Navy.
We're in the Navy now.
It's going to have farmland that feeds the Navy. It's going to have its own merchants and ports. But I would say the entire island services the Navy in some fashion. And think that's a good way to go. Housing, probably some vacation space. You are yelling with no context, Tom. I need context to your yelling.
So I have the option. I can warp these maps to do a lot of cool things. I hit apply. Okay, get rid of it. Go back in. Re-pump it out. Wait, what the fuck just happened? It just
a context, Tom.
Okay, so the warping. So I can warp these city maps
from the beginning, Tom.
What do you mean?
I don't. You're shifting. We're shifting topics, so I need you to build me into the story.
So I'm trying to mess around with. I'm still on the trying to get a city map that looks like a major port.
So you want Highland Naval Base, and you want it to look better.
Yeah, I want it to not look a exact specific way, but just to have a certain feel about it. So I was messing with the settings, figuring it out. I figured out I could warp it and make a huge port, but it doesn't save. So that's why I was mad.
Okay, that's fair. Welcome, Andrew. So yes, that's what I'm thinking. So wait, 2x2 square is 4, and 4x4 is 16. So that'd be a quarter. So it would be half. It would be half the size, not a quarter of the size. I think we're getting there. I do math. I do, and I could figure this out by thinking through the problem. But I'm just not thinking through the problem. That's why everybody else is here. It's not a math lesson. Look, y'all are fantastic. Thank you. All right. So Highland Naval Base. We have spent the entire episode to get to this point. Mm-hmm. So what we've talked about today is kind of the way forward. We need to get ourselves some more visual maps that outline the different what's the word I'm looking for? Gets us some data, right? We want a population heat map. We want this map, an easy map that shows us the power of military strength in certain areas and where it's strategically located, not just as simple as the size of Vectoon's army, but where it's deployed generally. When he's not engaging in a specific threat. We want infrastructure, right? Where are the largest cities? Where's the tourism? Where do people go for vacation? Crime stats. Where's the heat map for the crime analysis? If we need to take a look, and the idea behind all these maps is if the players are traveling to a new area, we can take a deep look at all the heat maps we create and get a sense of what they're going to be encountering along the way, and then we can morph the adventure with some realism. When they're looking for intel, like, hey, what do we know about this city over here? And we could, while they're talking to a random NPC, hey, Elza Charms, thanks for the follow. I appreciate it. I love that GIF. Thanks, John, for the GIF. When they're talking to random NPCs, we can look at these graphs to act as kind of the general knowledge of and maybe not everybody knows everything.
Right.
But we can use them as a general overall population knowledge. So after they talk to a few people, they should be able to paint their own mental picture of what these maps look like. We can, everybody kind of knows that, most of Ectoon's military power is based in the south. And that's probably a general answer. That's probably what most people know. Whether or not it's true at that moment or true in context, changes. But and that's a good static information mapping that we have. And then we took that and we determined that's where we need to kind of move forward. So hopefully next week when we have our down week, we can get some of that information mapped out.
I thought you were just going to say next week when we're delving in deep, but we're not. It's
no,
2
we're
weeks
not.
Away.
We're not delving in deep. So next week there will be down week, and hopefully we can get some of that done.
We can get that information out, and then we can,
talk
move
about
a whole bunch of branches of the story out, and
Make some educated decisions.
I think if we take these maps and we can look at them next time we start, if we have them, I would like to look at where some of the hotspots overlap.
Over what?
Overlap, where some of the hotspots overlap with like high population and like high crime rate. Like maybe that they don't always coincide. I mean, probably they do, but maybe they don't. And where they don't, I bet there's interesting story. When unusual patterns emerge, we can dive into why and come up with some things, right? When land fertility and education, either sync up or don't sync up. Why is that? What's going on there? Land fertility doesn't necessarily mean farmland. And why doesn't it? If we don't have farmland over areas of high land fertility, there's probably a reason, and we can dive into that. And we can start building some of the greater moving forces that we've done before.
Yeah, and for those people who are curious about where I pulled these terms from, I edited them a little bit, but it was essentially a Google search of what makes countries great. And then I looked at a whole bunch of statistical charts or like how countries are ranked, and I pulled up the ones that were, relevant to our case. And in some retrospect, it's not like there's some on like areas of countries that poverty lines of $1.90 a day. Like that doesn't mean anything to us, but like certain other things. And so
So we talk about the next episode. It's going to be reviewing. I'm going to keep calling them heat maps. Even though that's not accurate, but I'll remember what that means. Reviewing heat maps, finding statistically interesting locations, and giving them some context. Because the maps that you generate aren't going to give us any context, and they're not so random. They are kind of based off procedurally. They're procedurally generated, kind of like the rest of this map is. So we can start flavoring it, like we did with Jellicoy. And if I go back to Jellicoy real quick, we had some major themes here.
Where did you put that city again? Because I'm gonna have to add it to the map.
You are anywhere you want really, but I made it that little square. Okay. It is that little square. I'm thinking on that side of the.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yep.
Because it's easier access into Santalis' territory, and that's part of the. That's part of the restaurant business that we set up in Jellicoy. Yes. And like we did with Jellicoy, we'll review that real quick. Like we talked about, areas of interest, right? So Tiffany, the bagel shop owner, Dino's Bar and Grill, the dock workers, the taverns, and we have this theme here for the city, and this is where we'd like to get probably with about a dozen major cities. And I don't know if we do all of these on stream or if that's the interesting part. Actually, that might be the interesting part of the show in between the spoiler alert episodes where we'll warn our players not to watch.
Yeah. And that's, they don't necessarily, they're major cities in a storyline sense, not necessarily a size sense. So
Sure.
um, there's,
Absolutely. And that's
just
where
so
we
we can.
develop key parts of story.
Mhm.
As we spend all this time developing like 20 different interesting cities, and they go, I'd rather wander in St. Ellis's woods.
Mhm.
I'm like, shit. All right, yeah, we can make this up for 1 week, and the next week we're really gonna have to nail this down. And the interesting thing I think is we're gonna be doing these episodes after streaming on Tuesday. So this will be a Tuesday show followed by a Wednesday delving in deep, where we take what we've learned, we modify the world a little more for the next episode, and that's, I think, when the real spoiler alerts are going to be happening, right? We talk about, all right, so here's what they did, and kind of a funnel, right? We know, let me draw this out as I describe it because I can. We're going to have like, hey, here's where the story's at, and they're heading in this direction. They're heading somewhere, and we can start building out like a funnel, all the possible things that they, all the possible ways they may go. And, maybe they go in a straight line, but we're not necessarily building, a railroad for them to follow. So we're providing all the, optional paths within some reason, because they may just do a 360 the next time and say, nah, we're gonna go to the south instead, and all our planning is out the window. And this is when the art of Dungeons and Dragons and the art of DMing comes into play, because as much as you try to plan a D&D session, you always still want to give your players the freedom to go around to the south. And I'll tell you, so far, my players and the players that we're bringing into this generally go the railroad. No matter how much I protest, and I'm like, hey guys, like, I'm not trying to railroad you. There's more to do. You could totally do it. They're like, yeah, this is fine. All right. This is fine. I think sometime
this is fine here.
This is fine. Like, me and you, we even played the Curse of Strahd. Thank you. We played the Curse of Strahd, and there's a lot you can do with the Curse of Strahd, but I'd give you one breadcrumb and like two more breadcrumbs, and it was always like the first breadcrumb you followed.
I wanted to go different places, but I was always bullied out.
And the great thing about Curse of Strahd is it's a very open world, and there is a lot to do. I don't think we saw it all.
Oh no, I wanted to go back. We had more of the beans or the green things. I wanted to give them back to the Ravens and get cool stuff, but nope.
Oh, you had more
didn't have
seeds.
time for that.
Yeah, you had more seeds. And then you kind of just went right to Strahd's dinner invitation and had a battle.
Yeah.
So, what do you have anything left to add? I know.
No, I think that the progress seems a little bit slow, but I think it's just because we're kind of like encompassing it, and then it's gonna like, it's almost like a sneak. I don't know, something that's biting something down. It's gonna just quick encompass everything, and it's gonna close down, and everything's gonna become clear.
Sure.
There's and then we're gonna see all the different spots we can go. We can have generalistic plans if they're like fuck it, we're going to Fortix area. We'll have a general idea.
Right.
It won't be
Well, I'd like to think that in our previous episodes, we've given them a lot of interesting things in the world that they might want to explore. And that's kind of the idea of doing this world building, is these things all exist. We're not building the Curse of Strahd. We're not building the world's largest dungeon. We're building a world with interesting things to see. And our players have indicated that, they want to try the sailing portion first. So that's kind of where we're focusing. But we also have to be ready to dive anywhere.
Right.
That being said, if you're joining us for the first time, down below there should be a link to YouTube. We have Delving in Deep episodes 1 through, I want to say 11. 12 is going to go up today. You can catch the back catalog. First episode's pretty good. We outline a lot of processes for organizing your own world building. We kind of set some standards on the approach, and we generalize and get some good themes. Some themes that actually built this entire world. This did not exist before these first couple episodes. We built this, which is becoming a deeper and more deeper experience. A deeper and deeper, more experience. That's a word. That's a series of words that made some
Delving
sense.
in deeper.
Delving in deep. But we do this episode every Wednesday except next Wednesday. We've done it every Wednesday for the last 13 Wednesdays, and it starts at 6 p.m. Pacific, runs about an hour and a half before we stop running out of smooth ideas. And I hope to see everybody else next week. Thanks for watching. Tom, any last words for these beautiful people?
Eat your veggies.
Eat your veggies. Grow big and strong like Tom. He's like 8 feet tall. He never stopped eating his veggies.
That's closer than 4 feet tall.
Right. If I'd said 4 feet, I'd have been much farther away. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for watching. I'm Uncommon, and this is
Delvin in deep.
Shazam Poof. And this is Delvin in Deep.
Oh.